Hello, everyone. I can't believe it, but it's December. We somehow have gone through the very hard semester and arrived at the final month of our semester. I hope that each of you had a very wonderful, restful, meaningful Thanksgiving holiday. It's nice to have that week off. I remember when I was a kid, we went to school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we got the 4 last days off. I think it's been a nice change to have that week because it provides a break right before the final stretch. And as of this session, Unit 4, Session 2, we are in the final stretch of the course. 3 weeks until Christmas break begins. That means that you have about 19 days to get things wrapped up. So it's time to kick into high gear, the kind of high gear you'd have at the end of a race, and put forth your best effort and finish well. You've done well all semester, so let's keep going. Or if you haven't done well all semester, then come through in the end for yourself and be glad you did. This video is just to show you a little bit about Unit 4, Session 2. We started writing an essay before break, and we're going to continue with that as we head into the last part of the semester. So I'd just like to walk you through this. You will have, as usual, a number of assignments to complete. You'll have a quiz on compound sentences and the punctuation, commas and semicolons and colons that you use to punctuate. You will have a thesis statement and an essay outline that you'll need to turn in, submit, and get feedback on. And then you'll be posting your essay draft to the discussion board and responding to peers. And then in our final session next week, you will have a chance to revise that draft, perfect it, and make it a really meaningful piece of a contemporary essay. Notice there's a schedule here just as normal, and there is something with extra points in it, and I will explain that just in a moment. The first thing that you're going to be doing is learning about sentence structure, compound sentences, and the punctuation. Most of you handle compound sentences with commas very well, but this goes into semicolons and colons and how to punctuate correctly so that you can use longer sentences with greater accuracy. I mentioned in the video that when we look at reading level for a text, when we say something is a 6th grade level or an 8th grade level, what we're really looking at is sentence length and syllables per sentence, which has to do with the level of your vocabulary and the sophistication of your sentences. So this is really aimed at getting you to write more than just your basic type sentences that maybe a 6th grader could write or an 8th grader could write, but to really be moving into an adult world. Now, I've tried something new this week. I have tried an interactive video where there are questions embedded in the video. Never tried this before. It's an experiment for me. And because I just want to make sure everything is running correctly before I make it a regular assignment, I basically made it an extra credit assignment to do the questions. So you're going to be viewing a video. You're going to create a session or an account with Edpuzzle. And you can log in with your Google account. That could be any Google account. You'll sign up first and then log in with that email address. And there's a video on the use of these things, commas, punctuation, that I'd like you to watch and answer the questions that are within the video. And then I will add some extra points on. You will need to use this account number, this class number, in order to create an account. So note that, and that'll be how you learn about compound sentences and punctuation. And then you'll be taking a quiz on those things, and that will be available all week. So it's a quiz on the commas and the compound sentences, semicolons, colons, things like that. From there, you will be looking at writing your thesis statement for your essay, and your thesis statement should be a compound sentence. A thesis typically has a topic and your opinion about the topic. So these are some example topics, things that came up maybe in discussion or just seemed appropriate. And then your thesis statement would be a compound sentence that gives an opinion about those topics. So take a look at these examples, and you're going to be coming up with your own thesis statement. You'll also be looking at organizational patterns, and these are ways of putting ideas together in a big picture structure that allows the reader to follow what you're doing. Classification division is looking at one type or group of ideas or subtypes in order to get to the big picture. like the essay on neat people versus sloppy people, where we're looking at one type of person and then another type of person. And a topical pattern is very similar, looking at one aspect of something at a time, like the What is Poverty essay. I think a few of you read that, moving topic piece by piece. Comparison contrast should be very familiar to you. The conventional and alternative medicine is an example of this. The neat and sloppy people probably could kind of fit into that category as well. Cause effect. You're looking at the causes of something in our society or the effects of something in our society and making those causal connections. The Defriending Facebook was an example of this. And lastly, problem solution. There's a problem that we're facing in our society and there's a solution that we can embrace. And Killer Bean, the coffee essay, was an example of that. You can use this resource here to review some different organizational structures, and you can use a template here to help you create your own outline. And I know some of you are going to hear the word outline and go, oh! Doesn't have to be real tight, but this is meant to help you. So I am looking for you to submit an essay outline with at least 3 body paragraphs accounted for, your thesis at the top, some details for each of those body paragraphs. It's going to make your writing a lot better in the end, and it's going to make your writing probably easier for you once you've got that outline going. You can handwrite that, make a photocopy if you'd like, or take a picture if you'd like. It doesn't have to be done on computer if just doing it on computer presents a problem for you. But I do want you to organize your ideas. And then from there, you will be moving into your essay draft, and you're going to post that on a discussion board so that you can get feedback from your peers. And that feedback will be focused on these things. Last week we talked about language and organization, things like tone and diction and sentence structure, and then organizational techniques like where you put your thesis, the repetition of a certain phrase, and those needs that your author anticipated that you as a reader would have. And then also I'd like you to look at organization. So to get full points on the discussion board, timeliness, as usual, is an issue. Especially if you're giving feedback to a peer, you really need to be responding within about 2 days of the time they post for that to be meaningful. And I want you to do more than just point out that they had a good spelling error on the second page or that they did a great job. I want you to give some very focused feedback on them. And that will be this week. And then we will be moving forward next week into the revision of that essay. You'll submit your final copy. And then the last week of our semester, that is December 15th through the 19th, will be what's known as catch-up week. And I'll give you more detail on that later. But we are moving rapidly toward the end of the semester, and I encourage you to hold steady and stay true to the course and not give up at this point. You've been working really hard. You owe it to yourself to continue and finish strong. As always, be in touch if you have any questions, and I hope you guys have a great week.